What's up, team? Mike here, and welcome back for another lesson on leadership. This week, we're going to be looking at affirmations. All right, let's get to it. Ending well is so important, right? At the end of a movie or at the end of the book will determine whether or not you recommend that to somebody else. It will determine how you viewed the entire thing. And so your small group meeting time is just like that. How you end will help shape how people view that past semester. Was it good or was it not so good? For those that thought it was just like average and they're questioning whether or not they should continue coming, how you end will push them over the edge to make them come back. Those that loved it, they'll love it even more if you end well. Those that didn't like it, well, maybe you'll change their heart by ending well. And so how we end is important. So we want to encourage you to end with affirmations. Affirmations is a time of encouragement. A lot of times people don't see what God's been doing in their life, so it's our job to help them see that. A lot of times people are so overcome with insecurities and fears that they struggle to see the good things inside of them. So it's our job to see the image of God in somebody, to pull it out and to show it to them and to show it to others. That we honor them in front of the group and we encourage them. For many people, this might be the first time in their life that they were encouraged or affirmed in a deep and meaningful way. You know, the world oftentimes affirms people by just basically saying you're funny or you're good looking, these kind of superficial things. And so the affirmation is a time for us to reach into somebody's heart, to reach into who they really are and affirm them for their skills, affirm them for their character, affirm them for the growth that has happened in their life. God values people, and so when we affirm them, we are revealing the Father's heart to them. We're helping them to see the image of God inside of them. And lastly, these men and women in your group, they're going to grow up to become influential people, bosses, leaders. They're going to grow up to become mothers and fathers. And as we teach people how to affirm one another, we're helping them to create healthy workplaces, to create healthy families, to create healthy friendships, that they are going to be a blessing to the people around them no matter where they are, because they've learned how to affirm and encourage one another in a deep and meaningful way. Think about your own life. Think about your workplace. Think about your family. A lot of us are left feeling discouraged or disappointed, and we wonder if we're a good job. We wonder if we're a good person because we haven't really had much affirmation in our lives. We haven't really been encouraged by the leaders and the people we look up to. So as we teach people how to affirm, how to encourage, we are building up people to be a blessing to those around them for years and years to come. So now here are some practical tips for how to affirm one another. Firstly, affirm character and growth. We want to affirm them for who they are, not just what they've done. It is your job as the leader to set the depth. 2, everybody doesn't need to affirm everybody. Maybe not everybody has something to share, or if you're in a big group, maybe you don't have enough time for everybody to affirm everybody. And so if that's the case, if you don't have enough time, maybe just limit to like 3 per person and write the others down so you can give it to them. Or you can encourage members of your group to meet up at another time and just affirm each other privately at a coffee shop or something like that. Number 3, affirm everybody. We want to make sure that everybody leaves feeling affirmed. I don't care if they're new to the group. It's your job as the leader to affirm, make sure that everybody gets affirmed. If there's somebody in the group that's not very well known, that it's your job to affirm them. And as a leader, it's your job to think ahead of time, before the meeting. How can you affirm each of these people? Write it down, make a plan. Even if you don't end up sharing an affirmation for everybody in the meeting, that you have an affirmation to give to everybody and you can share it with them after the meeting. But it's our job as leaders to make sure that everybody feels affirmed. Otherwise, this time is going to be a very discouraging time for a few. 4, eye contact is required. So as people affirm each other, make sure they look at each other. Don't just be looking at the ground or something. Yeah, it can be a little bit awkward and uncomfortable, but I think it's something meaningful about eye contact. 5, pray for each other. After you affirm them, gather around them, pray for them. And this can be a time to practice the spiritual gift of prophecy. As you pray over them, as you lay hands on them and pray for their future, pray for their character development, pray for what God's going to do in them and through them going forward, that this can be a powerful time. Don't just affirm them and encourage them, but pray for them as well. 6, be creative. There's a lot of ways you can affirm people. You don't just have to sit around in a circle and give encouragements to each other, but there's other ways, and we'll talk about some of those in a moment. Number 7, embrace the awkwardness. It's going to be awkward, especially for those that have never affirmed others or have never been affirmed. You know, a lot of people don't like to receive affirmation. That doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. It's just a little bit awkward, and so we need to just embrace it and make it fun. 8, come prepared. Tell people that you're going to do affirmations the week before so that other people can think about it as well. I already mentioned you as the leader, you should come prepared with a list of affirmations that you've thought about. But let the other people know so that they can prepare also. And lastly, you can also share testimonies. As you do affirmations at the beginning or at the end, you can share some testimonies about how core group has impacted their life over that semester, over that year. And just praise the Lord together for all that He's done. And lastly, I want to go over a few different methods that we can do, how we can be creative, how we can make it more interesting and more engaging to affirm one another. So method 1 is the most basic. We call it hot seat method. One person sits in the middle and everyone just surrounds them and kind of throws affirmations at them. And at the end, you can gather and pray for them. It's the most simple, it's the most basic, but it can also be quite awkward for groups that are not used to doing this. And a tip, if you do this, because these are verbal affirmations, have somebody write down the affirmations on a card or a piece of paper so that at the end of the night that everybody has affirmations that they can take home with them so they can read it and they can remember it. Because it's great to be affirmed, but sometimes it's not meaningful until later. Maybe there's a challenge that comes later, they struggle with something later, they have doubts later, they can look back at those affirmations and be encouraged. Second method is a written method, that you make cards with each person's name on it, and maybe you play some music and you just take some time to kind of go around and write down affirmations for everyone in the group so that everybody has a card at the end of the night with a bunch of affirmations from the members of the group. But if you do this, I really encourage you to take some time to have some verbal affirmations as well. Maybe for each person you can read out a couple of those affirmations, because I think there is something meaningful and powerful about affirming somebody face to face and not just giving them a card with affirmations on it. And lastly, maybe your group is really struggling with affirmations. It's really awkward and people just don't know what to say. They're struggling with making up meaningful affirmations. And if that's the case, I encourage you, maybe you could use the fruit of the Spirit as your guide. And so you could go through the fruit of the Spirit and just pick one for each person and explain why you've chosen that one. And this can be a great way to really affirm someone in a deep and meaningful way, but it also gives you a little more guidance and helps people that struggle to come up with the right words or struggle to come up with affirmations. It gives them something as like a backbone. It gives them like a little bit of help in affirming one another. And so this method you could do with the hot seat method, you could do with the written method as well. And so the key is that everybody leaves feeling affirmed, that everyone leaves feeling encouraged, and that it's deep and meaningful, not just superficial, like you got cool shoes, or you got a cool sense of style, but it goes deeper than that. And so there you have it. There you have affirmations. Why do we do it? How do we do it? And I really believe that if we do affirmations well, it is going to be the perfect ending to a great semester, and it's going to help people succeed in life as leaders, as parents, and as friends. Well, God bless you. Let's get after it.